Hello everyone. Welcome back. How are you guys doing? May we all always be given health, blessings, and abundant sustenance. This time, I will discuss a movie called Bloody X1, which was released in 2024. The movie revolves around a girl who is forced to be the sole heir in managing her family's video cassette rental business. However, is she capable of running the business even though her heart doesn't entirely want to? Instead of giving too much away, let's get straight into the storyline. Enjoy! The movie opens with a sadistic murder scene committed by a psychopath assisted by a mysterious woman wearing a dog mask. At first, this scene seems like part of an ordinary horror movie, but it turns out that it is not fiction. The incident actually happened in the real world. Surprisingly, despite the many casualties, the police never managed to uncover the identity or catch the perpetrator behind the brutal act. Shortly after that, we are introduced to the masked woman, whose name is Abby. She works in a record store and is asked by her colleague Mackenzie to meet the owner, who is none other than her own father. His father is a man known as Roger Blade Cut, a legend in the world of underground films who has a habit of finishing off his victims and making the footage of his actions as films sold in his shop. When he met Abby, Roger immediately reprimanded him because without his permission, Abby had participated in the filming of the massacre we saw earlier. In fact, Roger had forbidden him to be involved in the production of such bloody movies. Therefore, he gave Abby a stern warning to never appear in another extreme horror movie again. Although disappointed with his father's decision, Abby couldn't resist. Reluctantly, he left the store and went to his best friend Glenn's laundry to wash his father's clothes that were still stained with blood from the massacres Roger had committed in order to create gruesome movies that sold well on the black market. However, Abby's mood suddenly soured when he saw the poster of the latest movie that was about to be released. Irritated, he complained about his father's decision to cast Mackenzie as the lead. According to him, Mackenzie was not suitable to play a psychopathic character in the movie, so Abby asked his father to let him take the lead role. She wanted to prove to Roger that this time, her murder would make him proud. At first, Roger was reluctant to involve Abby in the production of his blood-soaked movie. As an only child, especially a woman, Roger did not want Abby to be involved in the brutal world he was in. However, seeing Abby's strong determination to be his successor, Roger finally agreed to his request. Before that, Roger decided to teach Abby how to become a true psychopath like himself. The training began by choosing a couple as targets. Roger explained the process, from how to appear without showing his real face to how to attract the attention of the audience. For example, he demonstrated the scene of blood flowing from the victim's neck right in front of Abby. However, something unexpected happened. After giving the tutorial, Roger suddenly felt pain in his chest. Panicked, Abby immediately took his father away. Strangely, for no apparent reason, he buried Roger in his own grave. Suddenly, a shocking event occurred. Roger revived. Apparently, he had experienced death repeatedly. Every time he killed someone, Roger would die shortly after. And the only way to bring him back to life is to bury him in his own grave. Realizing that he is no longer as strong as he used to be and coupled with the condition of his shop which is threatened with bankruptcy if he does not release a new film soon, Roger finally has no other choice. He tells Abby to accompany Mackenzie to continue her work. Reluctantly, Abby agrees. They move to the next target's house. Once there, Mackenzie asks Abby to stay outside, while she will enter alone to finish off the couple inside the house. When she saw that the woman had just finished showering, Mackenzie was suddenly nervous. She immediately called Abby for advice on how to get her adrenaline going before committing her first murder. However, before she could hear back from Abby, her panic grew when she saw the man who had just come out of the bathroom. Panicking, Mackenzie chose to hide in the room. The woman was surprised to see Mackenzie and tried to fight back. However, an unexpected situation occurred, making Mackenzie lose control and unable to continue her mission. Seeing this, Abby steps in to complete the task that Mackenzie left behind. Just as the couple is about to flee the house, Abby takes action. Unfortunately, since this is his first kill, Abby gets carried away and breaks the rules that Roger had emphasized earlier. He unconsciously removed his mask, revealing his face to the targets. This of course allowed them to recognize his identity. Luckily, Abby soon realized his mistake and went after the man with the How to Become a Psychopath guidebook that Roger had previously given him. Abby then moved on to his next target, a man named Sam. However, Sam was aware of Abby's presence and quickly used his drumsticks to attack. Luckily, Abby still had time to escape. As a result of the incident, Abby had to stay in bed for a few days to recover. However, this incident brought him a surprise. Roger finally admitted that Abby deserved to be his successor. The recognition made Abby very happy. Now, Roger seems to really trust him to be the main character in their next movie. his next mission is to target a group of rich kids who attend Clover Falls High School. To get close to them, Abby decided to disguise herself as a new student at the school. Before leaving, he asked Glenn for help to look after the shop during his absence. Abby finally found his target, Sam, the man who had previously kept him sick for several days. Without hesitation, he immediately followed Sam wherever he went. However, when Abby only finds a bag of drugs in his locker, Sam suddenly appears, surprising him. Sam thought that Abby had deliberately followed him just to get the forbidden item. When Sam forced Abby to try the item, the unexpected happened. They were both called to the counseling room. It was Abby's first time there, and he was nervous and scared. He knew that if his father found out about this, big trouble would surely befall him. Knowing Abby's fear, Sam did not stay silent. He looked for a way for them to get out of the counseling room without getting into further trouble. After successfully tricking the counseling teacher, they ran away from school and went to a fast food restaurant. There, Abby felt something different. For the first time, he felt pleasure apart from watching a murder scene, namely eating with friends. Although they had just met Sam, they began to chat in depth. Abby revealed that he had been homeschooled, so he was not used to hanging out after school. Meanwhile, Sam tells him that he used to have a best friend named Nancy, but a year ago she was killed by an unknown person. Hearing that, Abby immediately remembered that Nancy was one of the victims of his father's massacre. As he was enjoying his meal, he suddenly felt a supernatural whisper telling him to immediately finish Sam. However, Abby managed to restrain himself and did not commit murder in public. When another opportunity to execute Sam arose, Abby decided against it. The reason is quite strange. It turns out that Abby and Sam both like donuts with big holes. Even so, Abby didn't want to disappoint Roger again. So, he decided to make Patty his next target. However, when Abby pretended to borrow a lighter to launch his action, Sam suddenly arrived, followed by Lizzie and Billy. They handed out flyers about the band's performance that would be held that night. Seeing how Sam and his friends treated him kindly, Abby began to have doubts about his murder plan. He felt that his friends did not deserve to be targeted for murder because, according to him, they were the coolest people he had ever met. Roger, who realized that Abby was starting to be influenced by his new environment, did not remain silent. With a firm tone, he ordered Abby to immediately execute one of his friends that night. Upon arriving at Izzy's house, Abby felt an increasingly strong dilemma. He didn't have the heart to kill Izzy, so in the end he just pushed him. This made Izzy fall freely from the top floor. However, instead of going straight home, Abby goes to meet Sam, who has just finished with his band's performance. When he finds out that Abby came home late, Roger is furious. He warns Abby not to get too close to his targets, because the more he gets to know them, the more difficult it will be for him to finish them off. As it turns out, Izzy is still alive despite having to use a wheelchair after last night's incident. Realizing that he has disappointed his father by failing to be his successor as a psychopath, Abby returns to Izzy's house to complete his task. However, just as he was about to finish off Izzy, something unexpected happened. Izzy realized that the person behind the dog mask was Abby. He immediately greeted Abby in the typical way, like when they first met at school. Hearing this, Abby immediately left Izzy unceremoniously. However, unbeknownst to him, someone who was also wearing a mask was in front of Izzy's house. And sure enough, while Abby was at Sam's house to calm his mind, something suspicious started to happen. Suddenly, they received news from Patty that Izzy had died. Hearing this, Abby immediately rushed to Izzy's house to confirm the truth. There, Abby realized that Roger had asked Glenn to kill Izzy, because his father knew that Abby would not be able to finish off his own schoolmate. Realizing that his friends' lives were in danger, Abby invited Sam and the others to leave the city immediately before they became the next targets. However, before they get far, the car they are using breaks down, forcing them to spend the night at a campsite in the forest while waiting for the car parts to arrive. As they walk through the forest, Glenn suddenly appears and warns them to get out of there immediately. Abby's friends don't realize that Abby and Glenn actually know each other. In short, at night they gather around the campfire to warm themselves. In a quiet atmosphere, Patty unexpectedly opened up about the murder case involving Roger Blade. In order not to confuse the story about Roger among his friends, Abby decides to tell the true story about his father. Here, it is finally revealed why Roger became the brutal psychopath that Clover Falls is famous for. Apparently, when he was in school, Roger was known as a child who had difficulty socializing. One day, the school organized a camping trip, and a teacher forced Roger to join a game that required him to work with a team. However, due to his awkwardness and confusion, Roger became the butt of his peers' teasing. Feeling pressured, Roger ran away and hid in an abandoned warehouse around the campsite. As he went upstairs to hide, unexpectedly, the floor he was standing on suddenly collapsed, making Roger fall and be declared dead. However, who would have thought, Roger, who was supposed to be dead, is now back with his death axe. After wandering around the warehouse for a while, Abby and the others went back inside the camping house for shelter. There, Abby said that they should not fall asleep, even though the sleepiness was already very heavy. To help them stay awake, Sam gave them some medicine to take. However, no sooner had they taken it than the fatigue suddenly increased, making them want to sleep even more. As it turns out, the medicine they took was the one Sam had previously found in the car in the warehouse. The next morning, when Abby and Patty woke up, they were shocked by the sight of Billy's body in a terrible state. Realizing that Patty is not beside him and his axe is also missing, Abby immediately goes into the camping to release Glenn from his bonds. But suddenly, Patty throws the Clover Falls student yearbook at him. Here, Patty suspects that Abby is pretending to be a new student at the school to make it easier to approach her victims. Once the target was chosen, Glenn would execute her to avenge the deaths of her friends, and Patty was prepared with Abby's death axe. Luckily, before anything could happen, Sam quickly stabbed Patty's body with his hunting gun. At the same time, Roger broke in through the window, knocking her unconscious. Without realizing it, Abby managed to grab the car keys. However, when the opportunity to hit his father arrives, Abby is faced with a dilemma. Suddenly, although it's still hard to believe that he survived, Sam immediately asks Abby about who he really is. Then, the scene switches, showing Abby and Glenn tidying up the movie tapes in Roger's shop. While they are busy packing up, a mysterious package arrives, containing a box full of movie cassettes. However, since Abby felt that the black card era was over, he decided to throw away the box of tapes. As the documentary about him and Sam was playing, the lights in his house suddenly went out. This forced Abby to leave the house to check the surroundings. When he walked to the back of the house, Abby was shocked by the sight of Roger's grave that had been dug up by someone. However, before he could react further, Roger suddenly rose from the dead. The movie ended with a shocking ending. Once again, this story teaches us that revenge will never bring peace. In fact, life will be more unsettled forever. Thanks for watching, see you in the next video.